ESL Pro League Season 6 Finals. Oh my gosh. That was a tournament. That was a great tournament, honestly. That was one of the better tournaments that I've seen in recent time. Mostly because all the teams there were like on. And like really, really on. Like, it was good. It made me happy to see. I think the happiest that I saw, though, and I mean, it's always good, but the happiest was seeing Misfits, like, come out of nowhere and just be really good. Like, we didn't think Luminosity was going to be that good, and they weren't. Astralis had a stand-in. Team Liquid had a stand-in. So, like, both of those teams went 1-4, which was, you don't want to see that. You really don't, and that's what makes it upsetting. Is when some really good teams like have to play with stand-ins and therefore you can't have that high quality Counter-Strike. But yeah, I don't know. Even with the core 4, you should still be able to like do better than 1-4 against teams like Luminosity, Hellraisers, Fnatic. Like you can get one more game off of any of those three. Off those three, you should be able to get one more, and they didn't. I think Liquid beat Astralis, if I remember correctly, and that was a close game, and everyone's like, wow, they both seem to be doing really well, even with the stand-ins. Like, it doesn't seem to be that much of a problem, and spoiler, it was. They didn't get it together in time. And then in Group B, North, just one of the more disappointing teams to have in a tournament. They just seem so good constantly, and then continuously just choke. So they also went 1-4. Ninjas and Pajamas went 2-3. NRG also went 2-3. Were out. So the qualifying teams from Group B were Misfits, Optic, and SK, all from NA. And Group A qualifiers were Faze, Fnatic, and Hellraisers, all from NA, all from EU. So it was kind of funny to see that. Misfits then had to play Hellraisers in the quarterfinals and 2-0'd them. Fnatic had to play Optic, and they won 2-1. Fnatic then got 2-0'd by FaZe, and SK 2-0'd Misfits. If you follow me on Twitter, I thought that Misfits could actually have done better in that matchup. I don't think that was supposed to be as bad as it could have been. Losing 16-1 on Overpass was, oh my god. It was just so bad. They couldn't get anything ever going. They never had a rhythm. SK were just toying with them. If it went to cash, if Misfits was able to bring this map to cash, then I think they would have won cash. In all honesty, I really do. If they could have won either Cobblestone or Overpass, it would have worked. But you can't give up 14 rounds to a T side on Overpass. That is such a CT heavy map. You can't do that. It's really bad to do that. So I think Misfits still have a long way to go, but this tournament showed they have quality. You know, they're riding hot. They're going hot into this major qualifier, and that's what makes this exciting. Is they're going to be able now to take in this tournament, see what they did wrong against SK, and work on that for 5 weeks in a row. And they're going to go to the major qualifier down in Atlanta, and they're going to go kick some ass. And that's exciting. That's really exciting because I want more NA teams other than like Liquid and Cloud9. Because those are the two undisputed top 2 teams. But if now you're going to have Misfits, who's coming in there with Sean Garris, who's leading this band of literal misfits to a top 3, top 4, contesting even top 2 with in NA. It really shows a lot of variance that North American players can have. And yes, there is the French duo of Amanek and Devo Duvek. But I think even with the core 3, they've shown a lot of talent. What I miss and what I'm sad about is that Relics and Twist aren't still on Misfits. I still really Twist, obviously we know with Liquid has just become a whole nother beast. He's become outrageously good, like really really good, which is awesome. And then Relics has been scrimming in Rank S and trying to scrim with other teams and see what he can get. Apparently he's going to be on another team after this major, so we'll see. Hopefully for the next season of ESL Pro League. So that was the wrap up, and I wanna get into 2 rounds in the Faze and Fnatic semifinal. 2 rounds that I think were pretty interesting, and this happened on map 2 on Overpass. So first off, let's go with round 5. So you're having on round 5, you have JW and Olaf basically get into a 1-on-1 where Olaf is suddenly all the way on long A, and JW has taken the B bomb site, and he's planning. So Olaf has to run all the way to B, and JW has no idea where he is or what's going on, because he's thinking that Olaf there's no way that Olaf could be all the way across the other side of the map. He has to be close to him, and he wasn't. So Olaf was basically sprinting in to try and get a good position. I think he went to upper B. JW was able to get the plant down. He got on smoke, went into water, and Olaf just kind of pushed him and baited him, waited for him to come and make the mistake, and was able to get the defuse out. I think that was a big mistake on Olaf's part in being so far away, and he made up for it just because he knows JW and knows his habits, and that was the way he was able to save the round. I think if it's any other player, you lose that. FaZe loses that round. It didn't make sense for Olaf also to be that far away, especially when they saw bomb. The only other reason that I can think of is that there was a miscommunication where someone said, oh, he could potentially be wrapping to go, long A. But even then, the difference, and you should find this, is round 5 of the Overpass map. And look at it again if you guys are interested, but it definitely was a big mistake on Olaf's part. Now, the second, and probably this was my play of the tournament. This is definitely my play of the tournament because it shows how cerebral Flusha is, not Crim, sorry. So now let's go, same map, same semifinal, round 11. Flusha is mid-bathrooms. He's going into connector, going down the stairs, and he's taking a fight with, I forget who he was taking a fight with. Smokes off, tries to take the fight, tries to push him back. At this time, Kerrigan is pushing through mid because he knows that Flusha is going to be downstairs and might be either killed, might be taken away, might be pushed away. Kerrigan now knows that mid is free, that bathroom area is free. So Kerrigan starts to run and then he walks. But when he walks, or when he stops running, Flusha heard those steps. He had to. He did. And so what he's done is he knows now that there's someone else who is lower. And so he has to take that fight. He has to push them away. He has to basically be fake drawn in. So now he knows that there are steps that are going into bathrooms and there were no more. So now he has a couple options. Number one, the player that was now running and is now walking is now running back to T, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because his teammates aren't communicating that another guy is there. So Flusha then starts to say, okay, well, I've taken the fight mid. I'm going to give, or lower connector. I'm going to give that up. I'm going to go start walking mid, and I'm going to try and counter him if there's a guy there. So that's what he does because no one else is left up on A. So he goes and starts walking, and Kerrigan goes the long way, even into bank. So he's taking the real long flank onto the B site where his teammates are ready for the execute, and Kerrigan's going to have this massive flank and basically win the round for them. Flusha the whole time is walking, and he doesn't follow Kerrigan through bank. He takes I forget the call up, but he goes onto the right side where, it's almost an immediate drop all the way down to the stairs. He basically, the dumpster. So he keeps that walking going. He doesn't make a sound at all, ever, which is really, really hard. That's really good. And is able to find Kerrigan, who is then in heaven on B. And you're watching this play, and even the commentators notice there's no way that Flusha knows this. But rewatching it through, you're able to kind of see, he has to know that those steps occur. He has to be, and he's already communicated to his teammates, hey, I think there's going to be someone there. Don't overextend out onto the B site to potentially be flanked. Be aware that there's someone in heaven, but don't smoke it. Don't let them know that you're there because I'm going to go and try and get that person. So he goes hopefully I can edit that out. I might be lazy and just have left that in. So he was able to get the kill and basically save the round for Fnatic. Eventually, though, they ended up 16-10 for Faze, but it was still very impressive. There's a lot of potential, I think, with this new Fnatic squad. A lot. I think Golden is a really good in-game leader. I'm excited to see what they're going to do in the future. You got to have that right mix of like experience and of new blood to really make something work together. So we'll see how that works out, especially in the major, which should be I'm going to the major. I'm very excited about it. So I really can't wait to try and meet a bunch of these guys. Send me on Twitter. Send me whoever you think I should try and get an interview with. I'll reach out to them. I'll see what I can do. I got unfortunately rejected for a press pass, but I'm trying to work with another CS or esports news organization, news publication to try and have them basically sponsor me as I go and either work for them or do stuff on my own and give it to them, whatever it is. But I'm going to try and definitely get a press pass to get some good content for you guys. So that was ESL. Very, very cool tournament. Now, moving on to transfer news. Oh boy. So the past couple of weeks I've been out, obviously. I've been on Twitter. I've been tweeting. I just haven't had the time to really sit down and put this together. So CLG, as many of you know, are disbanded-ish. Kind of. So the core that is staying together is going to be Kusta, Ethan, and Cutler. So all three of those players will be staying together, and they are going to be the ones that have the ESL Pro League and the ECS spot. They will be in control of it. They'll have the rights to jump back into the league. All they basically need is a sponsor. CounterLogic Gaming has placed a $500,000 price tag on those three players plus Ryu. Now, the immediate reaction to this news by everyone was bullshit. There's no friggin' way that fucking Kusta is somehow worth some part of this $500,000. Just doesn't make sense. And realistically, it doesn't, right? Kusta himself is not worth this amount of money. Neither is Ethan or Cutler. Maybe Cutler was because apparently his buyout was something crazy up towards to $300,000 before. But the real money is in these ESL Pro League and ECS spots. That's really where this $500,000 figure is coming from. That's how much CounterLogic Gaming views the worth of those spots. And to their credit, they're right. Those are huge spots. You get you're constantly broadcast onto Twitch. Your names are put out everywhere, and all those news releases, people are talking about you. The players themselves could possibly be streaming and getting new revenue that way. There's a lot of there is a huge amount of publicity that comes with these tournament spots, and that's where the money is really, really a big part of it. So the players themselves are not worth $500,000. In no world, no way those players are worth $500,000 themselves. It's the fact that they hold those incredibly valued spots in the tournament, in the leagues, is what makes them so valuable. FNS and Ricky are not going to be playing with CounterLogic Gaming anymore. They posted Twitlongers. FNS's was, you should go check that out. That was a good one. He really dove into all the bullshit that went on. I'm a Pet, who was the former CLG coach. He also posted a Twitlonger. Other players posted Twitlongers. The summary of it is basically CLG as an org is shitty. Gave them no support. They would not invest in the team. They would not get new players for the ones that they were like, hey, we should really go after this guy. He seems really good. And CLG's answer was basically, which is not a great response when you're trying to build a Counter-Strike team. They seem to be more focused on League of Legends and other games rather than Counter-Strike, which is just never really good, especially if you're like a top 4 NA team, which is what Counter Logic Gaming were for the majority of the past year. They have been a top 4 team. They went to the major qualifier the last time. They have been in and around major tier 1 NA lands, not tier 1 international lands, but tier 1 NA lands. But everything really has gone down since they lost JDM and they benched Tarek, which was benching Tarek. What the Moving on. I don't want to get into that. It just makes me angry when you know that there's a good player there and you just are kind of like, meh. Because that's what I got from them. It was like, meh. So that's the situation. FNS also apparently turned down the spot with Optic to be their 5th and their in-game leader after Stanislav left, which I think was a bad move. I think he definitely would have fit in well with those guys and could have really been a good in-game leader for them and really brought Optic back. But who knows what could have been. Hindsight is always 20/20. You have to move on and see what happens. I think FNS really wanted to try with this Counter Logic Gaming roster, and it just didn't work out. So that's a RIP. It's a Ripperooski. And Ricky, there are still a lot of questions. He has visa problems allegedly. He might not be able to make it back into the United States. He might have to be playing in Australia for another year while his visa issues get sorted. Being on a P1 visa or even a professional sports player or sports athlete visa is kind of hard to get. So he has to jump through a lot of legal hoops, and I'm sure whatever team wants to pick him up is going to have to be aware of those issues when they do. So that'll be one kind of red flag put on him while he tries to look for a new team. He is a very dynamic player, I think, over everything else. He is an exceptional opper, but Kusta was put as the op for CLG, and he's also a really good rifler, which he was on CLG, and he really excelled at. So I think having that dynamic ability is what a lot of teams don't seem to have. I think he would be a much better fit on Liquid with the way that JDM is not as strong off the op. And having another rifler, especially in those low eco situations where you have enough to full buy, but you don't have enough for that op, it can actually really help a team, especially in some critical rounds. So hopefully, maybe he gets picked up by Liquid. I think they still have the core 3 for the major, so even if they don't get the legend spot or anything like that, they still have the same core 3 to keep it for the next tournament. So that'll be good if Ricky can actually get a spot on a top tier team, which he should. I really do think he should. More information. Misfits. So we learned also, I think this week, that Misfits, the core 3 of Sean, Shazam, and Sick, their contracts are ending during the major qualifier. So apparently there also have been no talks, and the players have reached out to other organizations to see what their options are. Is there a problem with North American organizations and not understanding how contract extensions should be automatically implemented into player contracts? It's so simple. This is really how you solve every one of these major issues. And I mean literally major, like the major of the tournament. This is how you solve it. When you hand a contract to a player, you have in that contract an extension option for the team that they can say, okay, well, we understand your contract ends January 1st of 2018, but the major is within that month or the next month. So we're going to automatically extend it through that. And then after you're done with the major, we can talk about your contract. Like, don't have contract discussions when the players are supposed to be focusing on going to this tournament. That doesn't make any sense to me, because if the player is saying, you know what, fuck it, we don't want to do this. Well, they own the major spot. Devo Duvek and Amanek are still contracted through June. They get screwed in that sense. They can have stand-ins for the major qualifier. They can have 2 people come in who were not playing in the minor qualifiers, one of which was Relics. Like, there are a whole other multitude of players that they could just have them come in and play for the major qualifier. But so to me, it's just like you can't do this. And the same thing goes for Astralis. There are 3 members of Astralis. I totally forget them, who exactly they are. I think one of them is Device. their contracts also end like in the beginning of January. Like, how do these organizations not realize that you need to have these team contract extension options put into every single one of those guys? And then when these situations occur, you just extend it. But boom, no contract issues. Never a contract issue. There is no problem at all. So it just blows my mind that there's some sort of incompetence here. Contract extensions are also perfectly legal. They're for everything. You can meet them for certain goals. You can have them triggered for other things, for games played, for not enough games played. You can set whatever contract extension trigger you want. As long as the conditions are met, it is legally binding. And you just put those in every time that you offer a contract up to a player. This is so common. It's in football. It's in baseball. It's in soccer. It's in hockey. It's in everything. Oh my God. So I honestly, like, I don't know under what legal framework these contract extensions have not become an industry standard, but the fact that they're simply not just blows my mind. And as a fun fact, I'm also, as I'm recording this, tracking the Alabama State the special Senate election. And apparently Doug Jones is now projected to win, which is a huge turn of events because he was losing by a lot in the beginning. So I'll be getting back to that after I throw this thing up today. So now moving on again, we're going to take a look at Navi. So Navi, fun facts about them. They re-signed the 3 core man of Simple, Simple, Edward, and God, who's the Simple, Edward. Shit. I actually don't know. Anyways, so Zeus and Electronic did not get contract extensions because Zeus, I think, signed a little bit early. Electronic was just added, and so they signed the other core 3 to another, I think it was a 2-year contract extension option, which, good. The Navi team stays together. They'll continue to improve and see improvements. Awesome. Apparently, other rumors are that they're going to be signing the former Team Spirit Academy CSGO team. The Team Spirit Academy team just left that organization, and on the website for Navi, there was an Academy tab that was recently opened up with a CSGO option, but nothing filled just yet. So we'll probably see that coming in the week or two. Whoever knows. Finally, my good source of information, Dignitas. Yeah, Dignitas is doing nothing. Fuck nothing. Like, nothing. Like they literally don't know what to do with the Dignitas organization, the owners. So for those that don't know, and I've been downvoted on Twitter because of this, so those that are downvoting me, please stop. I know more than you. I'm sorry. That makes me sound so egotistical. That was so bad now. Oh my God. No, I know someone who is very close to the organization, and they've provided me this information, and that Dignitas has approximately 2 full-time members in the Philadelphia 76ers office working full-time for Dignitas. 2 members in the United States when they said that they were going to relocate there. They do not have a League of Legends team. They have basically no Counter-Strike team, which I'll get to in a second. They passed on options for an Overwatch team. And they seem to kind of just be like running in a treadmill, running in that hamster wheel. They're going, but they're not moving forward. From what I understand, the entertainment organization that runs Dignitas, they run the 76ers, they run the New Jersey Devils, which is an NHL team, and they run Crystal Palace FC, the English Premier League team, which sucked and is kind of doing a little bit better right now. So they're worried right now about the Sixers, the Devils, and Crystal Palace. They don't give a shit about Dignitas. They really don't. So they are more concerned about the 76. They're more concerned about those 3 other teams than they are about Dignitas. Once that ends, which could be end of 2018 after the 76er season and after the Devils season and after actually the Crystal Palace season, once you kind of get into the summer, then you might actually start to see something from the organization. But until then, don't expect anything. Right now, what's happening is with the Counter-Strike team, the Rubino is putting together a Norwegian team. And from what I understand, Dignitas basically said, yeah, go for it. Like, we'll pay them. You sign whoever you want. You tell them to come on. We'll do it. We don't care. It's kind of like we need to have something to just keep going, but we don't really care what the kind of quality it is. So, and that's the update with that. Now, moving on to major rules and the roster locks. So this sucks. God. Steel can't play for Liquid. Bolts can't play for SK. Device. I honestly don't think Device is going to be playing with Astralis. I think they're going to have to use someone else. They're probably going to use Zonic to play. They don't have. So we're going to see 3 teams who are playing in either the major qualifiers or the major itself with freaking stand-ins. It seems ridiculous, right? So it all goes back to the Disco Doplin, Godsent, Fnatic, whole transfer issues back for E-League in Atlanta early 2017. So this was beginning of last year, or beginning of this year, technically. Because of all the roster changes and because of everything that was going on, they allowed those. They weren't happy that all those changes occurred. And so they set for the rule book for this major that you can't do that. If they play in a qualifier for another team, they can't all of a sudden switch to another team in order to play in the major, which I kind of get. I kind of agree with. You can't suddenly join another team after you've already played in the same tournament for a team. I agree with the principle. I agree with it. I get it. I don't know if in this case it actually holds up. Now, we have extenuating circumstances here. Number 1, Steel and Bolts basically lost their legend spot. They had no other option. They wanted to continue to play with the team, but they weren't even there that long. And the second that they got out of the tournament, they jumped ship to SK and to Liquid, respectively. They weren't going to be staying on Immortals. What was a major finalist blew up in a matter of months after Montreal. And it was a spectacular demise, but they just blew up and they had nothing else left. So that was, so I think that's part of the extenuating circumstances. Again, also Phelps, he said he was homesick. He said he doesn't want to play in the U.S. anymore. He wants to go home back to Brazil. He's probably having family issues. These are issues that kind of transcend the competition itself. A group, a major finalist team broke up because players were infighting. A player on another team says that he doesn't even want to stay in America anymore. He wants to really go home to a whole other continent. And then in the case of Device and Astralis, the man is literally physically ill. He can't physically play it. And it's not like they're getting a transfer to try and one-up the system. It's not a permanent transfer. It would be someone to help really stand in, who is good, who is of the equal skill. I think they would like to use Dennis, but he already played for Godsent in the qualifier, so can't work. So that's I think a big issue, and it's kind of an internal debate that I'm having and a lot of other people are having. There's no easy answer. I think extenuating circumstances call for the breaking of the rules sometimes. So hopefully that's what they do. Hopefully they break that. I'm going to, unfortunately, end it here. I know I actually kind of ran through everything pretty quickly. I really didn't go off too long. I've kind of kept this short. Thanks, everyone, for listening to this episode 4. I am extremely tired. I've been running in circles. Hopefully, I'll just do a pod where I let all of you know what's been going on in my life. Probably not. No one gives a fuck about that. But yeah, so I've been busy. I've been doing things. I'll be back next week with covering what other more important fun news is. We have a huge break from tournaments, so I might go back through some tournaments and try and break down more plays of the week and do fun stuff like that. So that'll be cool. And then I have my interview with James Banks, who you've probably seen a lot on Unicorn, actually. He's been posting a lot of content onto the Global Offensive subreddit. I'll have my interview with him on the 23rd December, that weekend, that Christmas weekend. So I'll try and publish something that week. And then the weekend after that, I am on vacation. So we'll see if I get something out. Probably not. But yeah, so that should be the schedule just for the end of the year. And thank you guys for listening. See you out then. And just remember, always rush B.